Hey, welcome to the channel. It's Jack, the muscle and mobility maker with Stronghold Strength and Conditioning. And today, I'm going to be talking you through how to set up a nice solid foundation from the half kneeling position. But before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life and routine. It doesn't get better than that. So take advantage of it. Ready? Let's go ahead and dive into this one. All right, like I said, today I'm going to be showing you how to set up a nice solid base from the half kneeling position. Now for me, the half kneeling position is one of the best positions we could be working from to really help teach ourselves good core organization and stability. And I really like it because of the setup of one leg forward, one leg back. So we're really looking at two different rotations at our hip, and the way that we stabilize our pelvis and core above that becomes very important. So I'm going to be talking you through that whole process, and we're going to teach you how to make it nice and stable so you can do things like swings from the half kneeling position, presses from the half kneeling position, all that good stuff that you can really amplify your exercises by changing the base and using this half kneeling setup to, again, really get to your core and build some solid strength from there. Now, usually when I'm doing core training or teaching someone different bases and positions, I'll start with the supinated position first, where they're on their back. Then we'll move to prone. Then we'll move to the half kneeling position, and then eventually we work all the way to standing positions. So that's kind of the hierarchy of working positions that you can work from. And today we're jumping into the half kneeling position and that base and foundation. So let's go ahead and start to look at it and break it down for you so you can see the actual mechanics that are going on to really create the stability in that base and set yourself a good foundation. All right, a simple test I like to use to really determine if your base is solid from half kneeling is if you can perform a lunge at any point in time. So we're actually going to set up in the lunge and lower into the half kneeling position to make sure that we have a solid setup. My back leg is reaching for the smallest toes, a nice deep reach. It's internally rotated at the hip, and the hip is also in full extension. Now that's a key factor we'll talk about in a moment as well. My front hip is externally rotated with my foot tripod base, okay, 3 points of contact from that front foot, and the knee in line with the smaller toes. You can see right there, I'm able to stand up and lower back down without making any adjustments, and it's a nice smooth lunge. That tells you how solid your base is and your setup is from the half kneeling. We want the shoulder in line with the hip, in line with the back knee, and then here's another angle to take a look at those. So the back leg, see me internally rotating the hip there, my front leg externally rotating, tripod base, and we have a nice solid setup here where I'm really able to brace my core. So the big thing is paying attention to the angles of your pelvis in this position. A lot of times, if the hip does not fully extend, we're going to see anterior pelvic tilt and poor core engagement, or you might even see lateral tilt that's throwing you off side to side. If you find that you're lacking hip extension, here's a drill you can use. We're going to place a band at hip height on a post here, and we're going to put it at the back of the glute. Now, first of all, I'm performing anterior and posterior pelvic tilts to kind of gain control over that. You should be getting a big pull at the front of your hip flexors there, and even down into your quadriceps if we have this set up right. Now, play with those posterior and anterior pelvic tilts and kind of find that neutral positioning and that point where you can really engage the glutes well. Once you have that down, you can actually contract and relax the glutes, just playing with that in reps, and help bring back some balance there at the glutes. Now, we can also work on building stability at the front leg. If you find that your knee wants to cave and collapse, this is a reactive neuromuscular training technique where we can actually build stability in that front leg. So we want the band to be pulling across our body into that compensation where we'd normally be caving, and we're going to resist that by doing reps. Again, remember that front foot wants to be tripod based, so first metatarsal, fifth metatarsal, and heel, maintaining their ground as you internally and externally rotate the hip. You might not have this range of motion at first, but build it up and allow that band to pull you in deep while the foot stays planted, and then externally rotate as much as you can. As you gain more stability with that external rotation from the front leg, you can now test it by adding reps of lunges and actually standing up and lowering back down and trying to minimize any wavering at the knee itself from the pull of that band. Really trying to keep a nice strict line from that knee as we stand and lower. Now we can also use RNT to help with the engagement of the glute of the back leg. So here I have the band trying to pull me into hip flexion actually, but I'm resisting it and pressing against it, keeping my glutes engaged. And I'm just gonna perform a movement to try and test myself as I engage the glutes in this position. So you could do various movements from this, but the opposite hand to foot reach tends to be a good test to begin with. Once you have a good stable base, you can start to really work in those different variations. So here we're doing a Pallof press, okay? I have that band pulling me into, or trying to pull me into, a rotation, and I'm just resisting it, trying to press a nice straight line. You can see trying to maintain the stability through my legs and the base underneath me, and that's going to really connect your core in a different way. As you're doing this, you do want to connect your breath so that as you're reaching out, you're exhaling, and as you're pulling in, you're inhaling. Once you have that stability, you can now add rotation to this Pallof as well. So here we're allowing the band to actually rotate us and then pulling back to neutral. Again, trying to keep the legs and the base as stable as possible. So we want to minimize the movement there as much as we can. And with the rotation, it's separating out the base below us and what's happening above through the spine and the shoulders, which can be a cool control thing that you can really gain access to as you get better control from your body overall in this position. There are also a lot of great kettlebell exercises that you can do from the half kneeling. Here I'm showing a halo with a rotation from the half kneeling position. So I swoop the bell to one hip, take it up over the head, around the upper back and shoulders, and then rotate over to the other hip. Again, isolating out the movement, separating it from what's happening at the lower body. My lower body is simply the foundation that I'm working from, and then the movement is happening at my spine and shoulders up above from there. We can also perform windmills from this position once you get good at those halos. This is similar to that reach we were doing, although I'm loading it in the opposite direction at this time. You could also do them facing the front leg as well, so that might be a place to begin before rotating away. This is a little bit harder of a rotation, but these are exercises that are going to build awesome shoulder stability. They're going to really help your overall hip mobility as you add that load, and really beneficial in multiple ways to your core and your mobility in general. And lastly, a true test of how stable that base is can you swing that kettlebell in the lateral direction? So I'm reaching through the hips, extending the hips as I come up to a full position, bracing the core, and performing a lateral swing. All right, and there you have it. How to set up a solid base from your half kneeling position so that you can have a solid foundation to build from with your other exercise variations that you can do from there. If you like this video, make sure you let me know by clicking that big thumbs up down below. Take a moment to share this one with your workout partner or friend. Maybe you can mix this into your training sessions and really help everybody along in their strength from this position. If you're somebody who struggles with a training ache or injury that's been nagging you, it's keeping you from training at the intensity that you want, and you would like my direct help resolving that issue, what I want you to do right now is drop down below in the description to fill out a coaching application and schedule a mobility blueprint call. This is our opportunity to get on a Zoom call together so that I can take you through an assessment, gather the information I need to tailor a program to you, lay out in full detail what that program is going to look like for you, and answer any questions that you have at that time. If that sounds good to you, take a moment, schedule that call, and we'll get you moving in that direction. Last but not least, if you have not already, make sure you take a moment and hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on future content like this. Every Saturday, I'm putting out videos showing you how to resolve aches and pains, prevent injuries, and overall optimize your performance inside the gym and outside of it in your daily life routine, and it does not get better than that. Welcome to the Stronghold Army. We'll see you next week.